I will talk about political wellness today. The last couple of years, I've been intentional about understanding policy and how that affects my everyday life. It's a little strange though, because people most of the time avoid those conversations altogether. So when you're considering all the health policies that were changed in the last 2 years with COVID, the financial policies, and everyone talking about hyperinflation and the recession that's happening, that they're trying to say it's not happening. The quantitative tightening, the Federal Reserve is looking to combat inflation by removing jobs from the workforce. All of these things are alarming, but they aren't at the forefront of conversations. So when things happen, it starts to seem like it's out of nowhere when it's been happening by design. I've been reading up on the Federal Reserve and looking at how even that was a policy, how that's not even an actual federal institution, but it was written in policy, and here we are today with inflation skyrocketing and the buying power. Usually all the individual needs to know is whether they're willing and able to pay. Hopefully they've worked their way, they're able to make a decent wage, keep up with their expenses, the balance sheet, basic stuff, right? No. They have been attacking our pockets and therefore our livelihoods for a while now. And as a millennial, I don't think I'm an elder millennial, but I'm getting up there. Living in a liberal city with liberal policies, you really get the short end of the stick. It's unfortunate because there's so much creativity. There's so much funding as well. The amount of money that runs through New York City is enough to have other people from other countries come here and receive the help that they need. It's really, I want to say, discouraging when you've been going to school. They told us, go to school, right? Go get your degree. Woo, got my degree. I've been working at these jobs that do not rightfully compensate, despite the fact that they want to add on to job descriptions at every whim. It's hard because it's no longer a conversation about whether you want to work your way up or not. Like, can I work my way to have a living wage? Is that okay with y'all? Can we at some point see that the work that we've been putting in be reciprocated with a livelihood that is decent? And I digress to this very briefly. I have lived in Louisiana before, only to say that they don't make as much money in terms of what minimum wage look like down there in the South, right? But they talk about this and uplift that point so much. Oh, we make so much money here. Do you really? Because the tax policy is just not for we the people. The tax policy makes it so that on paper, mind you, and everything will be responsible for depends on this before tax illusion or delusion. Because it really is a delusional amount of money that they put out there. So where you live depends on whether you make this money before taxes or not. And the tax amount here is devastating. I want to say ridiculous, but it's just devastating. When your money comes, payday is here, and you already owe almost everything. It's like, come on, at what point? When do we really tap into that financial freedom? Especially if you don't have generational wealth left for you, It's really challenging. I don't know what unpacking that actually looks like. Talk to my friends briefly about some of the changes that may happen because of inflation, but what else do we do? I have my small business, but I can't even dedicate my full time to that venture because, I don't know. That might be the next move. The because is not weighing as heavy as it used to. I'm really just considering going full time on my venture. and exploring wellness in a holistic way. And I know that the funding is there. I know that the work is needed. I just was not prepared for life to unfold like this. You know, I thought it was a very structured. I grew up having a lot of structure. Now that things are very chaotic and I have to find a path that isn't already paved for me, yeah, I'm taken aback a little bit. I don't want to say afraid. I'm no longer afraid. But yeah, I want to have some discernment and some caution. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to sit and be afraid and to decipher every single outcome before you just go ahead and try something and shoot for the moon and hopefully land at the stars, right? Be cliche like that. I don't want to ramble on too much, but the financial check-in, looking at your balance sheet, looking at your job, is it still something that you're passionate about? I have been doing food and garden literacy for a while. Started out with nutrition, working in healthcare settings, in restaurants, all through the lens of food. And I can say that I'm fully the field. I can't imagine what it's like for people to reinvent themselves in a way that is different. You know, like a complete 180 pivot. That's hard. And you got to take that leap of faith and you got to hold on tight. Discipline and ongoing effort that you will not have fear of failure, and that your first attempts in learning will lead you to that vision of success. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that there. Thank you for sticking by. Let me know in the comments how y'all feel about financial well-being. Do you feel like you understand what's going on? What does inflation actually mean for you? Other than, you know, the general talking points of high energy costs, like gasoline being high. Like, what does that really mean for you? Are you able to have the same buying power for household items? Just other basic needs. Are you able to keep up with those? Let me know in the comments below.